2025 has emerged with a few clear-cut nominees for most embarrassing member of U.S. Congress. The winner will be revealed on our Christmas Day show, by the way. But one of the nominees who happens to be pretty high on the list, by the way, is Ilhan Omar, coming out in the final stretch to defend corruption and slander. The president and half the country put Omar pretty high up there, and watching her defend herself just adds some entertainment to the mix.
Everybody knows I came to the United States at the age of 12, gained my citizenship at the age of 17, and I am an elected representative in the House of Congress, and so the House of Representatives in Congress. And so for me, you know, I look at it as a display of his ignorance, and I see it as a national embarrassment that he continues to say those kind of things, even though he does know what the truth is.
I would call you a national embarrassment. You married your brother, getting citizenship. You've somehow put together $40 million off your donors. It's insane. And you always said Somali people are your real constituents, not the American people, certainly not the people of Minnesota. Another nominee for the award to be given out next week is probably even higher on the list for most embarrassing member of U.S. Congress. The one, the only Jasmine Crockett has had a promising year as far as consistently making a complete fool out of herself. And this statement has even members of her own party a little mad at her.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right, right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
I'm gonna let that come. I'm just let that sit there for a minute. Let that linger. Jasmine Crockett. Kamala Harris still out there reeling from her 2024 beat down, trying to sell a book and somehow trying to remain relevant in the same time, shape, or form. And it looks like she's got a new slogan, real talk, which I think is just code for I'm about to deliver some stupid-ass word salad.
And so real talk, right? So in comes Donald Trump. But real talk, we must be candid and clear.
Okay, of course, if you let Kamala Harris give a speech, you always run the risk of word salads, which only serves as a reminder of what could have been. Whew. And how lucky we are that the election was, I don't know, closely monitored for once. But given how clueless Kamala is and how bad she is at giving speeches, she inadvertently made the best case possible for why President Trump's win was so important for America, because the deep state and the swamp have nothing good to do with this country and haven't for years.
We must be candid and clear. Donald Trump is not the only source of our problems. He and the rise of the MAGA movement, I believe, are a symptom of a failed system that is the result of years of outsourcing and offshoring, financial deregulation, growing income inequality, a broken campaign finance system, and endless partisan gridlock, all contributing to how we got here today.
How about importing terrorists? How about letting criminals run ramshot in our streets and blaming victims and citizens? How about any of those Democrat policies? Meanwhile, Democrats are the party of violence. They support illegals over our own citizens. They support putting criminals back on our streets. Cashless bail, really? Cashless bail? What's the point? They believe in spending money abroad while ignoring Americans, Ukraine, that are directly responsible for the destruction and decay of America, and yet somehow they believe they stand on a higher moral ground while the president, our president, and his supporters are ruining the country.
Let me ask you about something else that you said in your speech. You said, my faith is not a weapon. My faith is a bridge. You also say, quote, Trumpism is a plague on the American conscience. How do you square those two ideas for people?
Yeah, as I point out, I think over the last several years, over the last 50 years and over the last year, we have seen a deepening divide between what people need from their government and what government is delivering. Surely the wealthiest nation on the planet can afford to provide basic health care to its citizens. We suffer not from a poverty of resources, but a poverty of moral imagination.
U.S. Senator from Georgia. I rarely put leaders from across the pond into the mix here, but when they say something so stupid, so ridiculous that it only could have come from the Kamala Harris playbook of things to say, I got to show it to you. Keir Starmer, whose whole country, Britain, England, can't stand him and his leadership, has continued in their tradition of letting anyone and everyone into his country. But wait until you hear his reasoning for why the number of illegal migrants has exploded.
I think we need to look at every aspect of illegal migration, upstream, looking at the causes, which of course are often poverty, climate change, persecution. Look at the causes.
Look, immigration, unchecked, has destroyed Europe, England specifically, Germany specifically, even Australia now. Don't import that crap here. The sheer inability of the so-called leaders of Minnesota to just admit that there was a massive crime of corruption in their state committed by a single group just speaks volumes to the kind of appeasement that goes on with the party. But Tampon Tim Walz, who himself is partially responsible, governor, for the corruption, just as a reminder, it was the system he put in place, the warnings he ignored, and then the cover-up he was involved in. But Tampon Tim finds new ways of deflecting with each passing day.
Do you want to hear more from members and leaders from the smaller community to say, we need to look at ourselves, we need to hold our own neighbors accountable, because look at the damage that this has done to our community. What do you want to hear more from, instead of just saying, don't blame us? Do you want to see more ownership and oversight from within?
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed. I think for the community to maybe educate their population, because I think what you're seeing here is there's secondary victims in this, that there's providers inside the community that are then victimizing the community themselves by signing them up, because when we're going to some of these people, they're like, I had no idea I was in this program.
What the hell was that? No one mentioned race. They talked about a group stealing money under your watch, dumbass. Kathy Griffin is like the OG of Trump derangement syndrome gang, kind of like the insane leftist trendsetter. Kathy's been inciting violence against the president since some members of the left were still in diapers, which is why I guess it's no surprise that Kathy says things like this.
By the time I get on stage, everybody's covered the latest crazy thing he said, and I'm just waiting for him to die. So he will die sooner than later. He's in terrible shape. He's disgusting to look at, like disgusting. And I'm not saying I'm some beauty. It's not about that. It's that because he is who he is and because he is doing what he is doing, I can't even stand to look at him.
She didn't have a mirror in her house. There's not one mirror in Kathy Griffin's apartment or house or whatever. It's not about what he looks like either, Kathy. He's bringing America back to the greatness that we once were, one day at a time. All right, folks, I don't talk about numbers very much, but sometimes numbers do tell a story. The Edge, talk about it a lot here, launched less than 3 months ago. The growth hasn't slowed at all. That tells me something powerful is happening. Take a look at this. If you haven't joined, take a look at that right there. 7,400 subscribers, 80 days, 250,000 views, 12,700 watch hours, top 0.1% of all new YouTube channels. It's amazing. Hit the other screen for me, Mad Dog, because this is where you do it. You just sign up. I'm asking you to use your camera. Point it toward that QR code. Subscribe now. You hit the yellow button. Automatically subscribe. You can go to YouTube. Search Eric Bolling The Edge. It'll bring up. Make sure it's Eric Bolling The Edge. Subscribe. We are growing so fast. The movement. It's a platform. It's not a trend. It's something that's here. It's going to be here for a long time. I want you part of it. I want to hear what you have to say. I want you watching this stuff. It's not political. It's all about being better, being a better person, being a better human being. Please subscribe. I appreciate it very much, the support. We'll be right back.